on Capitol Hill, Donald Trump's agenda, the big, beautiful bill, is facing a critical test. Can Republicans make enough changes to get the bill through the Senate without making so many changes that it dies when it goes back to the House? Republican leaders have imposed a July 4th deadline on themselves, so they've given themselves just 1 month to get this bill to the president's desk. And considering just how big the bill is and that it's not quite beautiful enough for all of the Republicans in the Senate, that timeline is, shall we say, ambitious.
We're going through a lot of changes right now, but we want the House to recognize their bill when it actually comes back.
There's probably 53 Republican senators who would like to see some changes. This bill only passed the House by one vote, and whatever changes we make, it's got to go back there for approval.
We've got, as you know, a lot of our members who would like to see more in terms of spending cuts, but in the end, it's all about the math, and it's what gets us 51 in the Senate and what gets us 218 in the House.
So that, of course, was Senate Majority Leader John Thune. Let's do that math. He can only afford to lose 3 Republican votes. Already, 4 GOP senators have said they're not on board. Math is it's so simple, I will do it on television. A half a dozen more Republicans appear to be on the fence here. So why is that? For many of them, it is the budget analysis that says that the bill would cut billions from Medicaid while adding trillions to the national debt. One of these holdouts, the Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, of course, finds himself at the center of Donald Trump's attention, not always a positive thing. The president writing this online, quote, Rand votes no on everything, but never has any practical or constructive ideas. His ideas are actually crazy, parentheses, losers, exclamation point, end quote. Senator Paul later told reporters that he wants to vote yes on the bill. But.
Conservative Republicans vote for this. There is no conservative opposition. They will own it. The debt will be owned by the Republicans. It's no more pointing fingers at the Democrats and saying, oh, they're the big spenders. It'll be all on Republican shoulders.
Okay, so all of that unfolding this morning through lunchtime. And then comes this afternoon. Elon Musk entered the chat. The now former Doge head taking to his platform, formerly known as Twitter, writing this, quote, I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. He said, shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it. All right, our panel is here, and we're also joined by CNN's Manu Raju, who's live for us on Capitol Hill. Manu, Elon Musk is not the first person to present the content in that post about a bill that adds trillions of dollars to the national debt. He sounds like a lot of Republicans that I've covered, you've covered probably in your time on the Hill. However, we are in different times, and it's a pretty remarkable statement from someone who is as close as he is to President Donald Trump. What has been the reaction from the Hill in the hours since that tweet came out?
It's completely scrambled the politics up here. Democrats cheering this. Chuck Schumer coming out to his weekly press conference touting this post by Elon Musk. Hakeem Jeffries, a Democratic leader, doing the same thing. Republicans, on the other hand, pushing back, including the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who I caught up with in the immediate aftermath of that post. He told me that he has spoken at length with Musk yesterday, and he said that he had tried to explain to Musk the virtues of the bill, and he also suggested that Musk perhaps could be driven in part by his opposition because the bill would call for the elimination of certain tax incentives for electric vehicles, and of course Elon Musk owns Tesla.
Elon is missing it, okay? And it's not personal. I know that the EV mandate, very important to him, that is going away because the government should not be subsidizing these things. But for him to come out and hand the whole bill is to me just very disappointing, very surprising in light of the conversation I had with him yesterday.
And I asked Johnson whether or not he is in fact accusing Musk of attacking this bill because of his ownership of Tesla. He said, quote, "I'm going to let others draw their own conclusions about that." But there are significant concerns among Senate Republicans about the potential impact on the debt and deficits. The House-passed bill, according to the Congressional Budget Office, would add nearly $4 trillion to deficits over the next several years. And that is something that some conservative Republican senators have raised concerns about, including one senator, Utah Republican John Curtis, who told me earlier today that he has significant concerns about the debt.
The deficit in the House bill, according to CBO, would raise it by a few $1 trillion. Is that concerning?
It's hugely concerning to me. And if you look at the House bill, just to simplify it a little bit, we're going to spend in the next 10 years about $20 trillion more than the revenue we bring in, and they're cutting $1.5 trillion out of $20 trillion. Most of us wouldn't do that in our businesses, in our homes, and we certainly do it in the state of Utah. And so that's a big concern to me.
He went on to tell me that there'll be a significant amount of work that still needs to be done in order for him to support this plan. And that's what I'm hearing from a lot of Republican senators, Casey. They want a lot of changes, but the Senate Majority Leader John Thune wants to push this through, get this through the Senate and onto the president's desk by July 4th. And that would require a lot of compromise within his own conference, because right now people are digging in and taking their positions and hoping ultimately the leadership listens to their concerns.
When you started this off saying the politics have been scrambled, that's your headline for today, our banner on the bottom. Manu Raju, thank you, as always, for your great reporting. Our panel joins us now, CNN legal analyst Elliot Williams, national political reporter for The Washington Post, Sabrina Rodriguez, Democratic strategist Adrian Elrod, and CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings. Welcome to all of you. Thank you all for being here. Scott Jennings, we've got a new tweet just in from Elon Musk. You look excited. So he writes this, quote, "In November next year, we fire all politicians who betrayed the American people." He's quote tweeting someone who, we'll figure out exactly what these other things are that he's criticizing him for. And this also coming as CNN is reporting here that White House officials are telling CNN that they were surprised by Elon Musk's scathing criticism.
To upend his life, again, going so far as to fire a DHS official for attending his wedding. Taylor is, of course, just one of the many people who have found themselves on a list of people targeted by the Trump administration, a list that includes big law firms, universities, media outlets, nonprofits, political action committees. We could go on and on. Taylor calls the orders a, quote, a scalpel that they'll use to ruin the lives of individuals the president is opposed to. A first step in fighting back against Donald Trump's retribution campaign is where we begin with Miles Taylor. How are you doing?
Nicole, I appreciate you having me. We're getting through. It's been a bumpy road, but as you know, we've kind of done this show before. Coming out against Donald Trump was a rough and tumble exercise. He made it so, but we always knew if he got reelected, his goal would be revenge, and that's exactly what he's trying to carry out.
What is he trying to do to you and your family?
Look, I think he wants to create a modern blacklist and have that blacklist ruin people's lives. Because it's a lot of effort to go through with trying to pursue and prosecute hundreds of your enemies. Yeah. All you need to do is try to successfully do that to a couple to send a message. And that's what some of his officials have said is the point of these executive orders against me and Chris Krebs are to send a message. And to a certain extent, that works. I mean, in the immediate wake of this, I'm the sole income earner in my household. I had to leave my job. My wife, who stayed at home with our daughter, had to return to work so that we can buy diapers, so we can buy formula, so we can pay the mortgage. We had to go launch a legal defense fund because we don't think we can pay for the legal bills for this type of thing. And then there's the security threats, which I know you're all too familiar with, but you get crazies coming out of the woodwork from the MAGA side who will dox you and your family members and send threatening messages, and you never know which one of those is going to become the real thing. I'll add to that, Nicole. Someone told us relatively recently, you guys need to go update your last will and testament to name a guardian for your daughter. I will tell you, that's not something you take lightly when you're sitting there with your wife and a lawyer signing documents to name a guardian in case the worst happens, because we don't know what's going to happen. That's how serious it is, and that's just being named on the blacklist. Charges haven't happened yet. They haven't raided our house yet. But that's what it looks like in modern day America when the president adds you to that list.
What do they think they're looking for if they proceed to try to scrounge through your life?
That's a big question, because normally, if you see some sort of criminal case or federal review taking place, you sort of know what they're looking into. Look, if you stole money from the petty cash drawer, you know you stole money from the petty cash drawer. In this case, it's an investigation without a predicate. It's an investigation meant to just be punitive. When this happened the day after, Wall Street Journal came out and they called it a fishing expedition. And that's sort of how we feel that this is proceeding. We have no idea what they're going to try to find. But I can remember being in the Oval Office with Donald Trump, and I think I've shared this with you before, as he talked about how in business, you don't threaten to sue people because then they just blow you off. You sue them so they settle. And he said that to us. He talked about his view on getting leverage. And I suspect that's what they're trying to do right now. And it's very destructive, not just to us, but all the people around us that it affects.
You have lawyers. You said you're raising money for a legal defense fund. What is that like? I mean, do you strategize with a legal team? Are they talking to the justice? I mean, are they trying to have more visibility into what is actually happening, and whether it is, as you said, just an attempt to get you to bend the knee in some way? And would you ever do that?
Well, look, I think this is something that people really need to know. And it's one of the reasons we're speaking out about this, is my wife and I had a lot of conversations, because people tell you, hey, keep your head down, maybe it'll blow over. But we know this guy. We don't think this will blow over. And even if it did, I'm a guy from a small town in Indiana, and you don't just watch something this wrong happen and not say something. And we know that that means we're going to have to take more punches if we're out there. But this is just wrong. And one of the things I think people don't realize is the fear in the legal community right now makes it very, very hard for someone to go get the representation they need. Now, I'm lucky. I've had incredible people like Abby Lowell, who represented not only Jared Kushner, but Hunter Biden all across the aisle, and a lot of different fantastic people come forward to help. But what if you're number 25 on that list? What if you're number 60 on that list and the president has ordered an investigation into you? Will you be able to get the legal support you need? I was lucky an organization called Whistleblower Aid came forward. They've launched something called endpresidentialrevenge.org.
Guys, I mean, what we have here is Donald losing his staff, people giving up on him. We've seen people from the past. We see Elon. We've seen that Elon is poaching staff. And again, whether or not everyone is quitting formally, some people are leaving, like Elon. He's taking people with him. We've seen that. He's taking Stephen Miller's wife. We've heard about this. Can't imagine she's the only one. But again, there's a lot of like giving up on Trump's agenda, because this is pissing everybody in the Republican Party off. Everyone is mad at him in different directions. Some of these concerns are valid. I want to make that clear. This is going to be one of these moments where you're going to write down where were you when. But Marjorie Taylor Greene today was correct when she said, well, you know, in this quote-unquote big, beautiful budget bill, and this is probably something Elon liked, but it said that they were going to not only push AI, but also make it illegal for any state to pass any regulation on AI, basically allowing the federal government to force the states to accept any extreme AI policy from the big tech oligarchs. And even if a state, whether it's a conservative state or a liberal state, a moderate state, wants to pass a regulation to, say, protect workers or protect children or fight deep fakes or whatnot, they wouldn't be allowed to do it, right? And so Marge is like, well, now I'm out of the bill. And that was in the House. Now, the House has already passed it. She voted for it, now hates it. But it's got to go back to the House, because if there's any amendments. And now Marge is saying, well, I'll vote against it next time unless this is gone. And then you have MAGAs hate it because it's not cruel enough. And then you have some hating it because they know they'll lose their seat if they cut Medicaid. And so all of this is happening in the context of now Elon attacking the bill.